Hey there, FlossTube. This is Alma coming to you from Long Beach, California. Today is Sunday, February 16th of the year 2020, and this is my 7th FlossTube. So welcome everybody to Alma's Little Wonders. Welcome back to you returning subscribers. Thank you so much for your continuing support. I'll never stop thanking you for it. I always enjoy receiving comments and suggestions via either with, leaving a comment down on the videos or reaching out via Instagram. It always brightens my day. And if you're new, then welcome to my channel. I hope you like what you see and you find a reason to stay and subscribe and follow me on my stitching journey. I hope that you guys have had a very nice Valentine's Day weekend. I know that I hardly got any stitching done yesterday because we decided to celebrate Valentine's Day yesterday as opposed to Friday. We both work, so we come home really tired and everything was super booked out, so we just decided let's just do it on Saturday. And it was great. We had a really nice time. So without further ado, let's get to stitching. If you are new, if you've just found my video, my FlossTube, I did want to let you know that I only do cross stitching. That is my one and only craft. So that's all this vlog is going to be about. I may talk about real life situations here and there, but I'll try to keep it related to cross stitching. And I also wanted you to be aware that I am a member of quite a few Facebook groups, Facebook stitching groups. So that's what determines what I work on each week. I try to do whatever the focus is for the Facebook groups. I'm also a member of Facebook groups that do weekly challenges. One of those is School of Magical Stitches and Literature. And I'll link all of these below. If I ever mention a Facebook group where I get my patterns, I'll always link them below. And if I do mention other FlossTubers, I'll also link them below. In case it does sound like something you're interested in, I highly encourage you to go ahead and reach out and try it out. So for School of Magical Stitches and Literature this week, we're still on the first book of the Villain series for Serena Valentino, which is Fairest of Them All. And that's the backstory of Snow White's Evil Queen. We're in week 2, I think. Yeah, second week of February. So we'll be starting week 3 on Monday, tomorrow. And they've already released the prompts for this week, so I'll talk about that in a little bit. But for last week, one of the tasks that we had to do was we had to work on a WIP that was a luminescent dream in a sea of darkness. And for that one, I had to pull out my Hogwarts piece. As soon as I read the prompt, I immediately knew I needed to work on it. Sorry about the glare, I'm trying to avoid it. Because especially like this scene specifically, I mean, the references in the book, the reason why we have that prompt is because every year they have like this festival and they decorate the castle in like really bright lights and pretty crystals, and if it's nighttime, then it looks like a dream, right? It's really pretty, and everybody really loves going to the festival because of the way that they decorate the castle. So that scene in Harry Potter and the Philosopher or Sorcerer, depending where you are, Stone, in the first Harry Potter movie, like that scene specifically, like it's nighttime and they are, they're in the boats, they're like in a sea of darkness, and then the camera pans up and then you just see the castle against the night sky, and I got chills just thinking about it. I always get chills in that scene. So as soon as I saw the prompt, I knew I had to pick it up again. which I was really happy about because for whatever reason, I think I must have gotten a little bit burnt out on the piece. I did not work on it for a couple of weeks, and even though it bummed me out, I still couldn't manage myself to pick it back up. So the fact that I did this week was really great. So this is how far I've gotten on my piece, and right now I'm focusing, so just for the sake of hitting milestones, because again I did kind of get a little bit burnt out. I felt like one way to get motivated was to try to reach for a milestone. I decided that I'm gonna go ahead and finish this partial page down at the bottom before finishing the one on the top. Again, just for the sake of reaching a goal a little bit faster. So I mean, right now there's really not much to look at. It's just the hill or mountain, whatever it is that Hogwarts sits upon. It's just night sky, and then you have rock. So it's not much to look at, but it does make me very excited to when I do get to finally finish a column. So I have four columns done on the page. And I also used this for another prompt for Magical Stitches. We had to work on a piece that reminded us of our father, because Snow White's father passes away. So it's you know, they obviously they hold a funeral, they hold a memorial. So the reason I picked this up for that prompt is because when the Harry Potter World Park opened here in Universal Studios Hollywood, the first time I went with my dad. My dad took me. It wasn't even during, so the park hadn't even officially opened yet. I had a season pass, and I heard through the grapevine that the park, the Wizarding World, was holding its soft opening, which is when they will randomly open the park up to visitors without, again, so the official date was like in April, and this was back in, I think, like late February or March. So again, not officially open yet, but that's how they work out the kinks. They take that time to work out any kinks, whether it be like training the employees to interact with the guests, any quirks that there is with like the rides themselves. Again, they want to make sure that everything is as good as it can be for when they do officially open and everybody flocks to it. So I heard that this was going on, and I told my parents that I wanted to go, and that I was like, I'll go on my own if I have to. I was just so dead set on going, even though the park hadn't opened yet. And I knew, like, the caveat was that there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that you'll get to go to the park, because again, they open it randomly. They can open it for 2 hours. They could open it for, 5 hours, or they couldn't open it at all. So that was it. I didn't care because I had a season pass. But then as soon as my dad said, I'll go with you, I was like, are you sure? Because we might not get in. But we went, and when we got there, it was closed. So it was kind of like a bummer, because again, there was no guarantee. It was just a risk that he took. So we went on like another section. I think we went on the Despicable Me ride, which is right next to it. And then when we got out, we were like, let's just see, let's just check. And sure enough, I got goosebumps again. Sure enough, it was open. And it's just like, I don't know if you've been, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, either in Orlando or Hollywood, but it's just like stepping into the movie. They recreated Hogsmeade Village, and it's again, it was just such an incredible experience, and I haven't gone in like a year or a year and a half, and I really need to go again because I miss it. But yeah, long story short, that's why I picked Hogwarts for that prompt, is because I went with my dad the first time. So overall, between those two challenges, I ended up stitching 738 stitches on that piece this week. The weekly stitch goal for that piece, in order to reach my goal of hitting 100,000 stitches at the end of the year, is 1,000 stitches per week. So obviously this week I didn't hit the goal, but that's okay. Again, I mean, because there's been some other goals that I've gone above and beyond, so I hope, my hope is that at the end of the day it will even out. But for that one, I know for a fact I'll be able to hit the goal, because, or this week, because for School of Magical Stitches this week, instead of doing like 5 prompts and doing like small stitch count goals per prompt, they let you pick one out of 2 prompts, and you have to stitch 1,000 stitches on that one prompt. I'm picking the second prompt, which is you have to pick a WIP that is consuming your love and your attention. Again, Hogwarts is demanding that I stitch 1,000 stitches on it each week in order to be able to reach that goal, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it. As soon as I saw that the stitch count was 1,000 for the weekly prompt, I was like, oh, I'm using Harry Potter. I don't know how, but I'll use Harry Potter. So it was easy peasy. Another prompt that we had to do for Magical Stitches was we needed to pick on a WIP that was close to a finish. And I picked the teacup display, which is based on Joan Elliott's artwork. It's a DesignWorks chart based on her artwork. So I picked that one out because I figured, even though I think I'm only like maybe like halfway done, maybe a quarter done, I don't know, it stitches up really fast. Like 200 stitches on that one gets me more completed. Sorry, I just dropped a needle minder. I'm gonna have to find it later. But 200 stitches on that piece, does like, it gets more done than 200 stitches on like a full coverage piece, because the border alone is just, it's a lot of white space. So this is how much I've done this week. I did 300 stitches on it for the task. I don't know if that's the amount, because again, sometimes the task can call for a stitch count. Sometimes I'll just keep going if I'm, you know, if I'm in a groove, I'll go ahead and keep going. So I know that next time I pick it up, I'll probably be able to finish the border, which will be the flowers going along here, and then the blue lines that are making up the frame. And for this one, I goofed. I goofed up because I'm using this for an ultimate task in Magical Stitches. Those are the ones that go for 500 stitch increments, but you can't double dip. So since I used this for a weekly challenge, I couldn't use those 300 stitches for the ultimate task. And I wasn't about to do 800 stitches on this WIP this week. Again, I was barely able to do 700 on Hogwarts. But that's okay, I learned my lesson, so now I'll just stick to using that for the ultimate tasks so that I can get progress on it. Another task that we needed to do for the Magical Stitches is to stitch on something that has a face. So for that one, I pulled out Lilac Evening. This is another one of the pieces that I do want to finish up the stitching this year. It does have a lot of beads, and it has these lace flowers on the hat. I'm not going to worry about those this year. For now, I just want to focus on finishing the stitching. And for this one, if you have seen my previous progress on it, then you know I already stitched the face. the task was to stitch on the face, and this is due to the face in the mirror, the Evil Queen's magic mirror. So I still use this. I just went for the penalty stitches, which was 150 stitches. Again, I went above and beyond. I stitched 250 stitches. And for this one, I did get some questions regarding this kit via Instagram. So this kit came with Zweigart Ada and Anchor Floss. So I got a question from somebody who had a kit that used the wool, I don't even know what it is. It's like acrylic yarn or something. But this one didn't come with that one. This one just came with regular Anchor Floss, which stitches up the same way that DMC Floss does. So for that one, again, I did 250 stitches and I started working on her hair. Go ahead. So I started on this section right here, and I'm kind of working my way up. I'm trying to fill in as I go so that it makes counting stitches a lot easier. For this one, this pretty much marks like a quarter of the piece done. I have a little bit to do on the edge. There's like maybe like 20 stitches that I have to do right here on the edge to finish off the hat. But other than that, I'm done with like that quarter of the pattern. So next up is just to finish up the rest of the lace and the hat that goes up top before I can go ahead and work on her clothes. So yeah, so again, this is one of the pieces that, you know, 200 stitches does go a little bit of a longer way than regular full coverage pieces. And I do want to use her for some of the extra credit or the monthly tasks for Enchanted Stitches, which is another Facebook group that I'm in. So I can keep working on it, keep the progress going, because again, I do want to finish her, finish the stitching before the end of the year. And if anything, if you saw my previous video, you know, I'll be starting quite a few full coverage pieces coming up in the next few months. So if anything, the reason why I want to get as much done on the teacup display and on Lilac Evening is because I want to try to get as many finishes in before I start more pieces, you know, finish more so I can go ahead and start some new ones. But for that one, I'm not worried because, like, again, it does go pretty quickly. Another task that we needed to work on for Magical Stitches was we needed to work on something that had more than 3 people in it because of the memorial or the funeral that they hold for Snow White's father. Because at that point, and that's the reason why we needed to work on the father prompt, is because at this point her father does pass away. So I pulled out Tinkerbell and Peter Pan Fly to Neverland because they're tiny but they're there. It has the darling children over here flying along with Peter Pan and of course Tinkerbell. So that's 5 people in it. So I pulled it out for this prompt, and of course, again, even though I think it called for 300 stitches, maybe even more. I think it called for 200. I'm not quite sure. Again, since I do go over, oh no, it called for 200 stitches. Yes, it called for 200 stitches because I then used this for an extra credit prompt that had 300 stitches on enchanted stitching. So this is how much I've done so far. I've officially passed the 70% completion mark on this, which made me very excited. And I was also super excited because this week I was finally able to see Tinkerbell. Look at that. Ta-da! So excited. We have a pixie. And just this actually happened just kind of randomly. I'm not, again, because there's so many colors on this that it's not like some other pieces where I'm familiar with the symbols and know which symbols are. This one, I'm kind of just working my way down row by row, because this is one of my WIP Go focus pieces. WIP Go is a group that was created by Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie's Just Stuff, and the premise is that you have a WIP Go board. She will, and it's just like your standard WIP Go bingo boards, 25 slots with a free space in the middle. You fill in a project per slot, and you can use multiple slots for WIPs. It's your board, your rules, but every month she calls out 2 numbers, and those are the 2 focus pieces of the month. So for this month, Peter Pan was called. So my goal is to finish these 30 rows right here. So I did stitch one additional row on the bottom, or stitch grid. I gridded an additional row here just because of the way I work. I don't necessarily limit myself to the grid lines. As you can see, like I've already stitched some here and over here as well. But since I was working my way down, like the next color to do was this one that is filament, I think. I forget what the specific number is. I used the one that came in with the kit, but all that yellow and some of the white right here, which you can't really see, but it's all filament with floss, so you have to blend the 2, which is great. And by that I mean it was a pain. But I powered through. I was like, if you get it done now, you won't have to worry about it later. And it gave me her outline. It gave me her little outline, and this is the wand tip right here. This is her little arm right here. And I did do her wings as well, or most of them. I still have some to do here. But I'm very excited, and I will continue to work on this month. I will use it for the ultimate tasks, which go in 500 stitch increments. So I should be able to meet that goal for WIP Go, no problem. So that essentially wrapped up the tasks that I had to do. I focused pretty much only on magical stitches. I did try to do some of the enchanted stitching challenges, which that's it's a separate Facebook group. They do this a monthly Disney movie theme. This month's theme is Frozen February. So, you know, the tasks are just based on the movie Frozen, and then you can, for extra credit points or a couple of extra points, you can just watch the movie while you stitch. You just need to kind of take pictures of it all, and you get a couple of extra points. Next month they just announced the theme for next month, which is Pirates of the Caribbean, so I'm kind of excited about it and kind of a little bit motivated to go back to the weekly tasks. So this week, since Magical Stitches is only having that one prompt going for the entire week, I will go ahead and try to do the weekly tasks for Enchanted Stitches. So they just announced those, so I actually do have an idea of what I'm going to use, which again, it might change as I go, because there's actually several WIPs that could go for each prompt. One of the prompts is the quote from Kristoff when they arrive at Elsa's ice palace. He says, "Ice is my life," and he wants to go in. He's just fascinated by the palace, and Anna's like, "No, you stay here." And he's like, "Why?" He's like super disappointed. So for that one, I know that I want to do a Disney WIP, because Disney is my life. But I also have like 5 WIPs to choose from. I have Esmeralda, I have Peter Pan, I've got the Disney villains piece going. What else? Is that it? I don't know. But yeah, again, I have quite a few to choose from. Another prompt that we're doing is when Anna tells Elsa to get rid of the eternal winter. Elsa says, "I can't, I don't know how." We have to work on a piece that is something that we originally thought we couldn't do. So for that one, I'll go ahead and double dip my stitches from Magical Stitches, and I'll use Hogwarts, because that was, if not the first one, one of the very first ones, one of the first like full coverage pieces that was of that size. Before that, I just did like the DMC kits, which some of them are full coverage, like some of them do get stitched up like on the entirety of it, but that one's it was just like massive, you know. It is massive, you've seen it. So I originally was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I mean, the image itself is gorgeous, so I powered through, and here we are. And then we have 2 more. We have which have to do when Elsa, Kristoff, and Olaf escape from Elsa's ice palace. One of them is we have to do a piece where you have something that has legs, but you can't really see the legs in the WIP, because when they escape, Olaf gets like his legs cut off, so he's going around and he's like, "Oh, I can't feel my legs." So for that one, I have quite a few WIPs that I could use, because I mean, I have several WIPs that have people in it. So the question is, do I want to go with the ones that have just like the faces and you can't see the body, or do I want to use ones where you can see the full body but you can't physically see the legs? So I don't know. And then the next one is the last one is when Kristoff points out that Anna has a white streak going in her hair from where Elsa struck her. So we have to stitch on something that has hair, which again, I have a lot of WIPs of people that have hair. So we'll see. We'll see what the mojo dictates as the week goes along. So in addition to the Facebook challenge groups that have the weekly stitches, I do have a few other WIPs that I worked on during the week. I worked on this piece called June, which is it's a Heaven and Earth's chart based off of Anna Dittman's design. I am using this for my monthly focus piece for Full Coverage Fanatics. They do an around the world monthly theme where they pick a country each month, and then you have to do a piece based on that country. And you can tie it any way you want to. If it is something that is like set in that country, or it's by an artist of that country, you can do that. For this one, I just went with the colors because the country of the month is Brazil. So Brazil has yellow and green in the flag, so this has yellow and green tones. So I did work on her for a while. I'm also working on her for this weekend for Love Is All You Need, also in Full Coverage Fanatics. We just have to stitch on something that reminds us of love. So that piece has the rose in it. It's just, I fell in love with it when I saw it. So this is how far I've gotten. So between Friday, when I picked it up for the Valentine's Day weekend stitch along or challenge, I've stitched 611 stitches on it so far. And I love it. Again, I really enjoy the tones. Again, the yellow. This section right here, I just loved stitching just because it was like the transition between yellow to green. So I will continue to work on this today for that weekend challenge to see how much I get done. And this one is for this one, the weekly goal is to finish 450 stitches a week, because I originally wanted to do extreme cross country on this and finish one color. So what extreme cross country is when you finish one color in the entire piece before moving on to the next. I've never done that before, and this one does have this one color that is used pretty much throughout the entirety of the piece. So I thought it might be a good way to use it for that one. So at this point, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, just because I have to do a lot of gridding, and I did try. I did grid some of the lines down below, but I never got the hang of it. I reached out to Tess from Tess Stitches. Hi Tess. She too is going to be starting this very soon because she saw it. She saw it here. She saw it on my FlossTube. She fell in love with it. She reached out. She's like, "Where'd you get it? What is it called?" And now she's gonna be starting it. And then in the summer, come June, we'll be starting the sister piece, which is July, which is gorgeous. It's the same basic, because apparently it's like a series. Apparently Anna Dittman's doing this for several months. So this is June. July has a lot of like purples and pinks and magentas, and it has an orchid instead of a rose. And then there's also, I think there's a February piece or something, I don't know. But again, apparently there's quite a few of them. So we'll be starting July in June for her birthday. Her birthday's late June. So we'll be starting July and June. I'm really excited about that, because again, the piece is gorgeous. But this is also really massive, guys. Like I don't know if you can see. It's I can't even get the entire thing in the frame. Yeah, it's massive. So I'll be that's one of the starts. Again, that's previously when I said that I was going to be starting a few projects coming up soon. That's one of them in late June. And then I am also going to be starting another full coverage piece in late this month, actually, with Lady Wing Designs Sakia. Hi Sakia. Since we're both working on the Hogwarts castle, she got her pattern from a different designer, and neither pattern is available anymore, unfortunately. There's probably other designers that have the same picture charted, but I know that I got mine from Stitching Girl, and she doesn't have the listing up anymore, and she got it from another Etsy seller, and she doesn't have it anymore. But we're both working on the same image together, and it's been fun. It's been you know, it's been really nice to kind of have somebody, you know, to kind of share that experience with, and be like, oh well, I'm stitching this section, and then we just both happen to be stitching on the same area, so we're kind of like motivating each other and encouraging each other to keep going. So I just thought, hey, why don't we actually do the same chart together? So we'll be starting Change of Seasons, Mystic Stitch chart called Change of Seasons 2. I didn't pull it out. I didn't know I was gonna be talking about it this time around, so I didn't take it out. But the original plan was to start it on March 1st. But then I've seen so many people talk about leap day starts. So I just thought, hey, would it be like, and I reached out to her, and I asked her, I was like, would it just totally throw off your planning if we started this a day before on February 29th for a leap day start? Because the purpose of those are like the people that are doing it. I know that Erin of Two Martini Stitcher on FlossTube and Instagram, she's doing a leap day start. The goal is to finish it before the next leap day, which is 4 years. So for some people it's great. I mean, for me, like I think 4 years, like that should be okay for that piece. It's not as big as the Hogwarts piece. It's not, I don't think it's as big as June. I think it's like 400 stitches by 430 or something. I don't remember, but that seemed like an okay goal. Like 4 years should be no problem. So she's on board, so we're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So that'll be a start in 2 weeks. Again, I'm starting all the pieces, guys. At this point, I had some other pieces planned out to start, because I decided that this year was going to be that I did all the DMC kits and all the cross stitch kits that I bought before I knew of like full coverage PDF patterns. So right now they're just, you know, gathering dust in my craft closet. So I thought, okay, this is the year to get those done. And I planned it out. Like I do have like the starts planned out throughout the year. But this was before I planned any of like Lady Wings, the start with Lady Wing Designs, Zakia or Tess stitches. This was before WIP Go was a thing, which totally changed how I'm planning everything. So yeah, so at this point I don't think, I mean I'm gonna start maybe like 1 or 2 more, but I think that'll be it until I get some real finishes in, which again, like that includes the teacup display, the lilac evening piece, the stacked teacups, the Dimensions Petite kit. Those three are the ones that I really want to focus on finishing. But I also want to try to hit as many yearly goals of my WIPs as possible, because I know that as soon as I hit those goals, then I can move on to the next WIP and just drop that WIP for the rest of the year. Another piece that I'm kind of sort of trying to finish, but I don't know if I'll be able to, all things considered, is my Mirabilia piece, which this is my second WIP Go focus piece for the month. It was a called out for February, and I hadn't started it yet, so I knew that because it was going to be a new start, I only gave myself a 500 stitch goal for the month, because I didn't know, you know, this is my first Mirabilia, so I didn't know how fast they would stitch, how if I would like it, if I was going to be one of those things that I just would stitch on for a weekly task and then drop it. So I did start on it, and I ended up falling in love with it, guys. I only have 250 stitches in, but I love it. And it's only in the black. Like, I love it, but I'm only done on black. It just, the fabric was really nice to work with. This is Silver Moon 18 count Aida by 123 Stitch, which is just this really light gray. You can barely tell. that it's died, really. But yeah. I just really enjoyed working on this, and so I know that it's not gonna be hard to reach that 500 count goal, because the only reason why I stopped working on this is because I had to eat, and then afterwards I just started working on something else. I didn't pick this back up, but yeah, like, it was so easy to get into the groove of it that I knew I was going to enjoy working on it. And I am using this for the monthly tasks for enchanted stitching. We have to build a snowman, so we have to stitch on 200 black stitches for Olaf's eyes and the buttons. So again, I'm just gonna keep working on the black for which is her dress, and then we had to do white for the body for Snow, and the dress does have white. So again, yeah, that's 300 stitches in right there, and I only have to do 250 more. So yeah, so I'm really happy, and I'll focus on that piece more next month, because March is Mirabilia March on Stitch Mania, I believe, so it'll definitely get more work done. Another start this week, because I have a problem, is it's a project that I decided I'm going to keep at work. So what I was doing previously is I was trying to prepare WIPs that had like a large block of color. So I would try to set it up so that I could just work on that larger block of color at work, so that I didn't have to worry about looking at the pattern. That didn't work out too well. I got very sick and tired. Well, not sick and tired, but I didn't like having to take the WIP back and forth from work to home, and then, you know, keep going. So I decided that I would just start a project and then keep it at work, and, you know, it's gonna stay there, it's gonna live there, so that I can work on it during my breaks. We have 2 short breaks throughout the work day, and then we have an hour lunch. So instead of having to like take something back and forth every day, I decided to start something new. So this is what the project is going to look like. It's called Moon Fairy, and it's a freebie chart on the DMC website. I think it's actually like DMC for the Philippines. And I actually had saved this a long time ago, and I only found it because, again, I was trying to look for something that had large blocks of color. So this worked out perfectly, because I could just outline what I needed to stitch and then, you know, go nuts. So I did start it, and so I have okay, I've got two threads going, one for the outlining and then one for the actual filling in. So sorry about that, but this is how much I got done this week. And this is a mystery fabric that I had in my stash. I feel like it's one of the hand dyed by Ronaldo pieces, because I know that I have bought things from her in the past, long time ago, but I'm not 100% sure. And it wasn't until I cut into this that because it was a larger piece, so it wasn't until after I cut into it to take the fabric for this WIP that I was like, hey Alma, this could have been a really nice fabric for the Mirabilia, the Veronica. It's just like, great. But I told myself that for 14 count, I like to use 3 strands. I'm only using 2 on this one because I don't know what kind of thread this is. This is also mystery thread that I had as a gift from somebody who just wanted to get rid of their stash. So, but it's actually pretty thick. I don't know, the coverage, I'm okay with the coverage as it is. But I told myself, especially for Veronica that has a lot of black, I reminded myself that 2 strands of black or 3 strands of black, or yeah, 2 strands of black would have not been good coverage. And it does have blends, so with blends you can't really do 3 strands to get the coverage that I like for those. So I kind of talked myself into justifying, like, it's okay, because otherwise, like, I do kind of feel bad that I didn't think of this for Veronica, because I think it would have been a really nice color. But that's going to be my work piece, so you're not going to see this again until I finish it. Because again, I don't want to take it back and forth. So I'll just keep it in one of my drawers at my desk. And the last thing that I worked on this week was, as ever, my snow girl. This is a Tilton Crafts chart based on Daniel Kordek's design, and this is my focus piece for Full Coverage Fanatics event. They're doing a 20 and 20 challenge, which means stitching 20,000 pieces of stitches in 2020. So for that one, I did do more of the border. I finally reached the corner, which, oh my goodness, guys. Okay, story time. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you may have seen my story, but for this one, I had to grid the side, right? So I had to grid the side in order to go ahead and continue working on the border down the bottom. And I had gridded all the way down to the bottom when I realized it didn't line up with the bottom border I had already stitched. And if you've ever worked on a piece that has borders, you know, and you do the border first, you know what I'm talking about. It's because counting is so important in those situations, that when you find out that you didn't count right, like, I remember I had to like put down the piece, and I was just like looking at it, like reevaluating my life decisions. It was not a good experience. I was texting Zakia I was messaging her of Lady Queen Designs, and I was like, help me, I was just devastated. It's like, it didn't line up. So, because at that point, you know, I had already done pretty much I did this entire border on the side. I had the entire bottom border done, and I was pretty much done with the top border. So the fact that there was a mistake, like the fact that they didn't line up, meant that there was a mistake somewhere in there. And just because of the nature of the mistake, like, since I did know that it was an issue with the number of columns as opposed with the number of rows, I knew that the mistake was either on the top border or on the bottom border. I then eventually did find it, which is the reason why this bottom border doesn't have a grid anymore, is because I found a square that had nine stitches instead of 10. So I took out the border, and I just decided, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this piece for now. I may grid it again in the future, but not today. And I do feel like that I'm getting there with this piece, just because I've been working on it so diligently the last few weeks. I feel like as soon as I finish the border and I get all the way down here to the bottom, I feel like I will slow down considerably, because it is a lot. You know, I keep working on it for like 500 stitches. This week I did 543 stitches, and in order to meet that 20 and 20 goal, I only need to do 350 stitches. But because I'm doing it for one of the ultimate tasks that do the 500 stitch increments, I always do a lot more than I need to do. So the plan is to finish that ultimate task and then either just not use it for another task again, or try to do something that has less total stitches, because the way that the ultimate tasks work is some total counts are like 2,000, another ones have 3,000. So again, these are all in 500 stitch increments. So I may just do something that has a smaller count, because I think for this one I'm doing something that has like 5,000 stitches total. So I may use it again. I may just use it for something that's like 2,000 for the sake of getting it done quicker. But I don't know. We'll have to see. That is as much stitching as I got done this week. There was one more addition for my future plans, which is this little beauty right here. This is another Tilton Crafts design, Hogwarts Castle, or Hogwarts Floral. The artwork is by Trends International. This was a limited edition chart on Tilton Crafts. So it was only available for a limited amount of time. And I'm part of the, which is another thing that I really recommend for anybody that likes full coverage pieces. A lot of the big name full coverage companies, I don't know, they have, some of them will have like Facebook groups. I know Tilton Crafts has a Facebook group. Heaven and Earth Designs has a Facebook group. And that's, for me, that's been a really good way of just keeping in touch with what's going on with the company. So with Heaven and Earth Designs, Michelle got a huge influx of orders for material packs, which is when you buy all the fabric and all the floss from the company so that you don't have to kit it up yourself. Apparently they got like a massive amount of orders, and they just decided to not discontinue, but they took down all the material packs from the website to give themselves an opportunity to get caught up. So they announced this, I think it was back in maybe December or early January. I know for a fact that when the Once Upon a Fairy Tale bookshelf came out from A.B. Stewart, that was a large contributor, because a lot of people started buying the material packs. So this was either like immediately following that or shortly after. I first found out about it through the Facebook website or Facebook group. And I was able to relay that knowledge to other people that weren't part of the website but were other Facebook groups. So I think somebody in like another cross stitch Facebook group was asking about material packs and wanting to buy a material pack and being like, hey, I can't find any on the website. So at that point I commented and I said, hey, well, this is what's happening. They will come back eventually. They just need to get caught up on the current orders because they're so backed up. So eventually they will come back online. And I think now the plan is that they're only going to accept like a select number of material packs per month, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check. But again, that's how I found out. So long story short is that's how I found out about the existence of this of this limited chart. Is because Shelly, she usually gives the people in the group priority. Like she'll announce new charts, and she'll even give discounts, like discount codes that are specific to the group. So she gave us a heads up that there were only a limited amount of these left. So I had to get it sorry, not sorry. It blew my budget for Stitch from Stash because this was like $16. But it's okay. I'll get finishes. I'll do partial pages and page finishes, and I'll get back up there. So the plan is to start this when I finish my current Hogwarts piece, which again is also like, it was also kind of like a motivator to keep working on Hogwarts so I can eventually reach out to this one. And I do want to give a shout out to Sakia again, because for this one I'm not doing the black because it's too much. This calls for 11 skeins of black, which means there's going to be a lot of black stitching on this, and I thought, I'm not doing that. I learned my lesson with Hogwarts Castle and other pieces. So instead I was on the lookout for dyed fabric. Dyed fabric that is dark enough to kind of resemble this. And Zakia mentioned color and cotton fabrics, which I've heard about it, but I mean, I always stitch on white Aida, so besides those like 1 or 2 times that I got like dyed fabric from an Etsy seller, I don't really delve into dyed fabric world. So when she brought it up, I looked into it and I found this really gorgeous piece. It's called Onyx. So it's really, really dark grays and blacks, and I just thought, perfect, done. I haven't bought it yet because again, I blew my budget with this one. But again, I'm not worried because I'm not gonna be starting this anytime soon, so I have time to buy the fabric and get it up as well. But I'm very excited because it is a really pretty piece, and I was very happy to get it. But yeah, that does wrap it up for me this week. Again, lots of things happening, lots of plans, lots of adjustments that need to be made just because of getting burned out from pieces. But I do want to continue working towards all those goals because again, I do know that I'm going to be starting a lot of pieces during summertime. So yeah, so the goal is to try to reach for as many finishes as possible for the smaller pieces, the smaller kits. But yeah, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for spending your Sunday with me, some time with me. And I hope that you, you know, if you did enjoy your time with me, then let me know. Either leave a comment below or hit the subscribe button. Hey, what a concept. But yeah, I do want to say thank you again for your wonderful feedback because I do appreciate it. And until next time, happy stitching. Bye guys.